What is going on, everybody? And this video is going to be my thoughts on the Ubisoft and the EA press conferences at E3 2015. So let's get right into it, and we will start with EA because honestly there's not much to talk about. EA started out their show with showing off the new Mass Effect. Now that is a way to start your show right there. And I noticed that's been a trend at a lot of these press conferences. We're just going to start the show out with a huge bang. And this was no exception. The new Mass Effect is called Mass Effect Andromeda. It's kind of... honestly, I didn't expect the new Mass Effect to actually have an actual title. I expected it to be called Mass Effect 4. But it is what it is. They didn't really show gameplay. It was just all cinematics, and it looked really cool. And it looks like we got some new characters for this one, so that should be pretty interesting. It's going to be weird playing a Mass Effect without Commander Shepard, but I'm still intrigued in how this goes, and they said it's going to come out holiday 2016, so that's... even though that doesn't sound close, it's not as far away as you think, so can't wait for that. Then they showed off the new Need for Speed game. And I'm not really big into racing games, but I do have to say the graphics look tremendous, and it looked pretty chaotic, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it looked like that this new Need for Speed game could be open world. If so, that could actually be pretty fun, and a lot different from your normal racing game, so should be pretty cool. Then they showed off the new expansion pack for Star Wars: The Old Republic, and the expansion pack is called Knights of the Fallen Empire. And I never played these series of games before, but I know they have a huge following and they look pretty cool. I just never got the chance to play them. But it's still pretty cool to see. I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I know that probably sounds really stupid because I never played these. I just never got around to it, so sorry. But what is cool about this is that it sounded like they said that this expansion will be completely 100% free to subscribers. Free is always good. So kudos to BioWare for that. Alright, here we go. Now we're talking. A new indie game was shown off here at the EA press conference, and the last place you'd expect a new indie game to be shown off is at the EA conference. This was definitely a surprise, and the indie game that was shown off is called Unravel. And this game looks amazing. This was a real tearjerker from the way they showed it off. The game looks beautiful. It looks like it's going to be a side-scrolling platformer with some puzzles. And the main character is called Yarny. And as you can probably tell, the character is made out of yarn, and you unravel while you're playing, and you use your yarn to solve puzzles. But the music, the atmosphere, the way they showed it off, very emotional. And it was really cool to see the developer, when he came out, you could tell he was nervous. You could tell he would never in his wildest dreams expected to be at E3 at a conference on stage talking about his game. You could see the emotion in the guy's face, and that's beautiful. That is very beautiful. And it goes to show that indies are the future of this industry. They are the lifeblood of this industry. And it's really cool when they get shown off like this. So kudos to EA for giving the time to show off this game. I can't wait to play it. Then they showed off Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. Looks like a lot of fun. I love the original Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. If any of you guys have not tried that game out yet, please do so. It's really cheap now. I've seen it for under 20 bucks in a lot of places. Definitely check it out. It's a lot of fun, and this looks like more of the same, but instead, the plants are now on the... they're now on the offense against the zombies, who are now on the defense. So basically, they just switch sides. And the developers plan on doing free DLC updates to the game, which is always good to hear. And it's going to come out spring 2016. So that's pretty cool. All right. Okay, you want to know what most of the conference is now? Sports, 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 even more sports, and even more sports, and even more sports. I shit you not, that was like the next 40, 50 minutes of this conference was nothing but sports games. And you know, I don't play sports games. I like sports. I'm a huge fan of football and baseball. And I like professional wrestling too. And I do consider that a sport, by the way. I just don't play many sports games because they come out every year. And they don't change much about them. So I don't see the point in buying them most of the time. But if you're into sports, then this is the conference for you. But unfortunately, I tuned out during most of that. And then during the FIFA presentation, they brought out Pele, who's a famous soccer player. It's a waste of time. Bringing Pele out there, it's not going to get people to buy the game. People who are already interested in FIFA are already going to buy the game. Pele isn't going to entice anyone to make a decision on whether to buy the game or not. So this is basically just a free payday for Pele. Okay, so after all the sports stuff was done, we got to Mirror's Edge Catalyst. And this new Mirror's Edge game is going to be a prequel to the first Mirror's Edge game. It's going to be the origin story of Faith. And I remember the rumors. Someone can let me know if these rumors are false. I really hope they are, that Anita Sarkeesian is somehow involved with the development of this game. If that's true, I am not buying this game whatsoever. I'm just telling you that right now. I hope that's not true. If it's not true, then that's cool. I may get it at a later date then, because I was never the biggest fan of the first Mirror's Edge game. It was really cool, but it just didn't grip me as much as it did some other people. But this new Mirror's Edge game is going to come out February 23rd, 2016. And they ended the EA show with Star Wars Battlefront. And this game looks fantastic. This looks amazing. I've been on the fence about this game because this game is online only. And usually the problem with online only games is you have to have enough content to keep people around. A lot of previous online only games have failed because of that. And this game could end up being the same way. It's possible. But from what they showed here, this looks amazing. The graphics are great. You can tell this is a DICE game by the way it's presented and the Frostbite engine and all that stuff. And honestly, to me, it looks like Battlefield Star Wars. From the way the vehicles operate, from when you're on foot. There's just so much stuff to do. That's one of the reasons why I love Battlefield more than the other first-person shooter genres, is because all these different types of players can play it and still have fun. Like, you don't have to be the best. If you're not the best at shooting people, you could be a healer and just throw med packs to people. Maybe you might be better at operating vehicles, so you could be the driver, or you can just shoot people down with flying vehicles. That's why I like the Battlefield series, and this actually looks the same. And I'm not using that as a complaint, because I love the series. And I hope this... I remember Battlefield 4's launch, and I've been calling it Broken Field for ever since. I don't want this to become Star Wars Broken Front. So hopefully we can get a smooth launch here. And this game looks like it has a lot of variety. And what was really cool, I just remembered this now, you could switch between first and third person during the game, which is really cool. And there's guns, the vehicles, and it looked like there's some saber battles too. I could be wrong, I vaguely remember seeing a saber battle. But once again, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But looks cool. I'm definitely going to pick that up day one now. So that is the end of EA's conference. It's actually a pretty solid conference. I tuned out most of it, to be honest, because I'm not big into sports games. But if you love sports games, then you will find this to be a fantastic conference to watch. And I understand there's an audience for that, so the EA conference gets a thumbs up for me because they didn't have much filler. They didn't mess around with bullcrap like skits and all that stuff. And they gave the time to an indie game like Unravel, so you get 2 thumbs up from me, EA. Alright, now let's move into the Ubisoft conference. And I've been really looking forward to the Ubisoft conference because there's a lot of Ubisoft games coming out that I've been interested in. So let's get right into it. First off, they showed off a game called For Honor. And this looked kind of interesting. It's the fantasy third-person multiplayer game. And this looks like it could potentially be fun, or it could potentially be very redundant, but there seems to be quite a bit of variety. You could be Vikings and warriors and all these different types of people. And I could see a lot of ganging up attempts in this game. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that, what was it, that Ninja Gaiden game that had multiplayer. I don't remember the exact game, but I remember there was a Ninja Gaiden game that had multiplayer. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit, except at a slower pace. But, you know, this game looks pretty cool, and I definitely look forward to more of it. Then they talked about the crew expansion packs. Not big into racing, so I'm moving on from there. Then they talked about the Trials Fusion expansion pack. Now, the Trials games are lots of fun. They are full of zany fun. The customization of tracks is a lot of fun, where you customize your own tracks and then share it online. You can play other people's tracks. The Trials series is just a lot of fun. And during this, they showed a cat riding a fire-breathing unicorn. If that doesn't sell you on it, then I don't know what will. It's a cat riding a fire-breathing unicorn. Enough said. Enough said. Okay, then they talked about The Division. And The Division pretty much is it could ultimately be very successful and very fun, and it could also ultimately fail, because a lot of times when I was looking at this Division footage, I could really tell what the game actually is. Like, some parts it looks like your standard third-person shooter, and then there's some parts where it looks like an open-world RPG in ways. Maybe it is like a merger of both. And they were talking about the Dark Zone, and I'm assuming the Dark Zone is when you fight off a bunch of other players and a bunch of hard AI opponents, and that's where you can find loot and stuff, I guess. I don't know. And there's going to be a beta early next year, which is cool. And this is supposed to be released on March 8th, 2016. So that's pretty cool. It could always be delayed, just like most games. But really solid release date. It's not too far off. Actually, I just remembered. What I really liked about it is that there can be rogue agents in this game where you could betray your team and take all the loot. I could see a ton of people doing that, and I even personally know some people that would do something like that. So, oh man, that could be potentially a lot of fun, depending on how you look at it. So, I definitely look forward to more of The Division. Okay, then the next game they talked about is called Anno 2015. And once again, this is another space game, because we've seen a lot of space games here at this E3. And it looks like you can visit a lot of different planets, but outside of that, they showed almost nothing about the game. So, okay, and this is when Ubisoft went downhill a little bit. At least for me. They talked about Just Dance 2016. And oh dear God, here we go. You already know what's about to happen. Here come the dancers, here comes the dancing, and all this other crap that nobody wants to see at E3. Nobody wants to see this crap at E3. Now, I can understand why Ubisoft wants to talk about this, because Just Dance is a big seller for them. There is an audience for that, but okay, if you want to talk about the game, just talk about the game. You don't have to bring out the dancers and spend 5-10 minutes with this dancing crap. It's filler. It's a waste of time. Don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. But they're going to do it every year, and it annoys me every year. So, maybe that's the definition of insanity. I don't know. Okay, then the next game they talked about is called Trackmania. And I don't know if any of you remember this old PC game from the 90s. It was called Hot Wheels Stunt Car Racer, and I played the hell out of that back then on the PC. This reminded me a lot of that. It's a stunt racing game, and it's got that fast-paced racing, and you can do loops and stuff, and you can also create your own tracks and then share them online. It just reminded me a lot of that Hot Wheels game. I don't know if any of you played that game. it reminded me, it looks a lot of fun, and depending on the price, I might actually just check it out. So, I definitely look forward to more of that. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and some of you know where I'm headed because I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. I've been waiting for this particular Assassin's Creed game for a very long time. An Assassin's Creed set in the Victorian London era. The late 1800s, 1868 to be specific. This looked amazing. This looked really cool. They did not show gameplay, it was all cinematics, but from what they showed off, it looked really cool. I liked the era, I liked the setting, the atmosphere was great. We're going to have a female assassin this time, and I think it's going to let you choose which one you could be, or you're going to be both during the single-player campaign. They did not go into details about the game, but there is a male assassin and a female assassin, so it seems like Ubisoft listened to the backlash last year with Unity when people complained that there's no way to play as a female assassin in that game, and they tried to imply that Ubisoft was sexist. They conveniently forgot that Ubisoft already had a female assassin. It was Aveline from the Assassin's Creed Liberation game, but most people don't remember that because it was a PS Vita Assassin's Creed game, but it did get a release on Xbox Live Arcade and PSN. So it's not like the game wasn't hard to get. But you know what? It was just one game, so I'm not going to be that upset that people didn't remember that. But Ubisoft listened, and now we got a female assassin in this game, so it's cool. Day one buy for me, which is not surprising to some of you. Then the final game they showed, and people were wondering what kind of game this was. They were taking a long time to get to the title, and it looked kind of cool. It's a new Ghost Recon game. It's called Ghost Recon Wildlands, and this looks a lot like the Far Cry games, where it's open world. There's farce and different types of environments, and this has this. And not only that, it's open world co-op, which means you can play co-op with all your buddies in this giant open world to have fun with. And apparently, from what they showed, it looks like we're going to have different locations across the globe. So that definitely could be intriguing. They did not show much else of the game besides that, but this game is definitely on my radar now. I definitely would like to see more of this game, and I can't wait to see more. So, alright, so that is the end of both the Ubisoft and the EA conference. Both conferences, in my opinion, were really solid. There was a few things that I did not particularly care for, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, both conferences delivered on lots of games coming up in the future, a lot of exciting games, and I can't wait to see more of a lot of these games. So, alright, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think, and I will see you back for more E3 videos. Have a good one.